They gave the alien princess to a human as a prank. Now she has chosen to become a mother. Part. The morning sun streamed through the window, waking Kalara from a deep sleep. She had not expected to rest so well in Earth's heavier gravity. She dressed in the simplest clothing she had brought and ventured out to find Noah. He was already outside feeding animals that Kalara recognized from her studies as chickens, and a creature called a dog. The dog barked at her approach but quieted when Noah spoke to it. "This is Barney," Noah said, scratching behind the animal's ears. "He's friendly, just curious about you." Kalara approached cautiously, extending her hand as she had read humans do. The dog sniffed her fingers, then licked them, making her giggle at the strange sensation. "Breakfast first, then I'll show you around," Noah said, leading her back to the house. Kalara watched with interest as Noah prepared a meal of eggs and bread. He moved with efficiency in the small kitchen, his hands sure and capable. Staring, he noted without looking up. Kalara felt her skin flush slightly, changing from its normal pearlescent blue to a deeper indigo. "I apologize, I was taught it was impolite to observe too closely," Noah shrugged. "I'm not much for formal manners out." Here he placed a plate before her. "Eat while it's hot." The food was simple but delicious. Unlike the carefully balanced nutrient solutions Kalara was accustomed to at court, the flavors were bold and satisfying. After breakfast, Noah showed her around the farm. It was small by human standards, he explained, but enough for one person to manage. He grew vegetables, kept chickens for eggs, and had a few fruit trees. "What do you do for entertainment?" Kalara asked as they walked the property boundaries. Noah looked thoughtful. "Books mostly," he admitted. "I read a lot, sometimes I carve wood." He pointed to a small shed near the house. "I have tools there. Will you show me?" Kalara asked, genuinely interested. Surprise flickered across Noah's face. "Sure, if you'd like." In the shed, Kalara discovered beautiful wooden figures, animals, and abstract shapes created with careful attention to detail. "These are beautiful," she said, picking up a carving of what appeared to be a bird in flight. Noah looked embarrassed. "Just a hobby. Helps me." Kalara placed the carving back carefully. "I would like to learn," she said. Really, Noah seemed skeptical. Why would an alien princess want to learn wood? Carving. Kalara considered her answer. "I am here to learn about human life." "Yes. This was arranged as a joke by my cousins, but I wish to make the most of it. I have always been curious about how other beings live." Noah studied her for a long moment, as if trying to determine her sincerity. Finally, he nodded. "All right, I'll teach you, but first you need to learn about the farm work." The next few days fell into a rhythm. Kalara learned to collect eggs, feed the animals, and tend the vegetable garden. The work was physical and often dirty, but she found herself enjoying it. There was a satisfaction in tangible results that she had never experienced in court life. She also learned about Noah carefully through conversation as they worked. He had been part of Earth's space program, an engineer who helped design exploration vessels. But something had happened to make him leave. He didn't explain, and Kalara didn't press. In the evenings, Noah taught Kalara wood carving, starting with simple cuts and techniques. Her first attempts were clumsy, but she improved quickly. "I thought your skin would make this difficult," Noah commented. Watching her work, Kalara looked up. "Our skin is tougher than human skin, but we have more sensitive nerve endings in our fingertips," she demonstrated by feeling the grain of the wood. "It helps me feel which way the wood wants to be." Cut. Noah nodded, impressed by her insight. "That's exactly a good carver's listen to the wood." As days passed, Kalara sent brief reports to the embassy, providing minimal information about human rural customs. She didn't mention how quickly she was adapting to life on the farm or how comfortable she felt in Noah's company. After 2 weeks, Noah received visitors, a delivery of supplies from town. Kalara watched from the window as Noah spoke with the delivery woman. Her name was Amy, and she clearly knew Noah well. Her body language suggested interest that went beyond friendship. "Do you have a mate?" Kalara asked later as they prepared dinner. The directness of her question seemed to surprise Noah. "No," he said after a moment. "No wife, no girlfriend, not anymore." He busied himself chopping vegetables that woman Amy seems interested in. Noah shrugged. "We've gone out a few times, nothing serious." He changed the subject. "How do relationships work on your world, among nobility?" "They are arranged," Kalara explained, "for political advantage. My refusal to accept my arranged match is what led to this situation. Noah looked up. Why did you refuse? Kalara set down the plates she was holding. I was expected to mate with a noble from a rival house to secure an alliance our species lives for centuries. Imagine being bound to someone you don't respect for hundreds of years. Noah whistled low. I can't imagine living that long, let alone being stuck with someone I don't like for all that time exactly. Kalara said softly, I'm considered rebellious for wanting to choose my own path. That's something we have in common. Noah said, a hint of sadness in his voice. Sometimes the path others want for you isn't the right one. That night, Kalara stood outside watching the stars, thinking about her conversation with Noah. Azurians rarely shared personal feelings or motivations, yet she had revealed more to this human in 2 weeks than she had to anyone on her homeworld in decades. She was becoming attached to this place, to this life, to Noah himself. This realization should have alarmed her instead. It felt like discovering something precious and unexpected. The end of the 3rd week, Kalara received a message from the embassy. Her cousins wanted a full report and images of her struggling with primitive conditions. They expected her to be miserable and begging to return. Instead, Kalara sent them images of the vegetable garden she had helped plant and brief descriptions of farming techniques. She made no mention of her growing skills in wood carving or the conversation she shared with Noah in the evenings. Her cousin Gilek sent a sarcastic reply. How fascinating, dear cousin, is the human treating you well? Or have you learned how primitive they truly are? Kalara looked out the window where Noah was repairing a fence in the afternoon sun with Barney, the dog keeping him company. I am learning much about humans, she replied diplomatically. They are more complex than our reports suggest. He put away the communication device and went outside to help Noah with the fence as she approached. He looked up and smiled. It was a smile that reached his eyes, crinkling the corners, and Kalara felt something shift inside her, something that made her wonder what would happen when her time on Earth was scheduled to end. They gave the alien princess to a human as a prank. Now she has chosen to become a mother. Part 1. Kalara stood at the viewing port of the Azurian embassy ship, her iridescent skin catching the light as she gazed down at the blue planet below Earth. It was so different from her homeworld with its single sun and vast oceans. The humans fascinated her, but also frightened her. A little. What frightens me more are the plans my cousins have made for me, she thought bitterly. Princess Kalara of the Azurian royal house was known for her stubborn refusal to follow tradition. Her refusal to accept an arranged marriage had become a source of amusement among the younger nobles, and now they had devised what they considered a hilarious prank. Tomorrow you will be presented as a gift to a human male, her cousin Gilex had announced between fits of laughter. We have chosen one who lives alone far from their cities. You will stay with him for 1 lunar cycle. Then we will retrieve you. The diplomatic corps insists we need to understand humans better. This is your contribution, Kalara had protested, but the decision was made. Preparations were arranged and diplomatic channels were opened. The humans were told that an Azurian representative wished to study their rural lifestyle. The perfect cover for the prank. What her cousins did not know was that Kalara had been studying humans for years. She found them fascinating with their short lives and intense emotions, while Azurians lived for centuries and prided themselves on their logical detachment. Now, as the shuttle descended toward a remote area in what humans called Montana, Kalara felt a strange mix of anxiety and excitement. Perhaps this prank would turn into something unexpected. Noah Miller wiped sweat from his brow as he finished repairing the fence around his small farm. The summer heat was intense, but the work kept his mind busy and his body tired enough to sleep. Without dreams, that was all he wanted these days. 5 years after leaving the space program, Noah had built a quiet life away from everyone who knew his name or his story. The locals respected his privacy, and he respected theirs. It was a simple arrangement that worked well until today. He watched with disbelief as the sleek silver shuttle descended into his field, scattering his chickens and sending his dog Barney into a frenzy of excited barking. Government. Noah wondered as he approached cautiously. They said they were done with me. The shuttle door opened with a soft hiss, and Noah stopped in his tracks as the visitor emerged. She was clearly not human. Her skin had a pearlescent quality that shifted colors in the sunlight. Her eyes were large and entirely violet with no whites. Her graceful movements suggested the gravity of Earth was stronger than what she was accustomed to. "I'm Princess Kalara of Azuria," she announced, her voice melodic. "Despite the formal tone, I have been sent to study human rural lifestyle. You have been selected as my host." Noah stared at her for a long moment, then laughed, the sound rusty from disuse. "Well, Princess, I'm Noah Miller, and somebody has played a joke on both of us." Kalara tilted her head, the gesture bird-like and curious. "This is not what I expected," she admitted. Noah shrugged and gestured toward his modest farmhouse. "Not what I expected either, but you're welcome to stay if you want. The government types told me your people were visiting Earth, but I never thought I'd meet one of you, especially not out here." The shuttle pilot and Azurian guard looked concerned. "Princess, the arrangements were approved through proper channels." "Yes, but clearly not with this human." Kalara said, her voice firm. "Return to the embassy. Tell them I will proceed with the cultural exchange as planned." The guard hesitated but finally nodded and retreated to the shuttle, which soon lifted off, leaving Kalara alone with Noah and a suitcase of her belongings. Noah watched the shuttle disappear into the clouds before turning back to Kalara. "So I guess you're stuck here until they come back," he said. Kalara picked up her case. "I can call for retrieval if you wish not to host." Manoa considered this for a moment, studying the alien woman standing in his field. She looked out of place in her formal attire, but there was something in her eyes that spoke of curiosity and perhaps a hint of rebellion he recognized. "No, you're welcome to stay," he decided. "I have a spare room. It's nothing fancy, but it's yours if you want." Kalara smiled gratefully. "I appreciate your hospitality," she said, following him toward the house. "I promise not to be a burden." Noah laughed again, less forced this time. "We'll see about that, Princess. Have you ever collected eggs from angry chickens?" Kalara blinked in confusion. "No, I can't say that I have." "Well, that's lesson 1 in rural human living," Noah said with a hint of mischief in his eyes as they walked toward the farmhouse. Kalara realized that perhaps her cousin's joke might backfire. This human was nothing like the primitive barbarian they had described. He seemed intelligent, kind, and something else she couldn't quite name. That first evening, Noah showed Kalara to a simple room with a bed, a dresser, and a window overlooking rolling hills. The sun was setting, painting the sky in colors that reminded Kalara of the sacred pools on her homeworld. "Rest tonight," he told her. "Tomorrow you can start your study of human rural life." "It's not exciting, but it's honest." Kalara unpacked her few belongings, including a small communication device she was supposed to use to report back to the embassy. She set it aside, deciding her first report could wait until she had something meaningful to share. As darkness fell, Kalara stood at the window watching unfamiliar stars appear in the sky somewhere up there. Her cousins were laughing, imagining her discomfort, but strangely, she felt more at peace here than she had in the royal palace for years. Perhaps this prank would teach lessons no one had anticipated, least of all herself. They gave the alien princess to a human as a prank. Now she has chosen to become a mother part. The fourth week of Kalara's stay brought unexpected challenges. A summer storm damaged part of the barn roof and flooded portions of the vegetable garden. Noah worked tirelessly to repair the damage, and Kalara worked alongside him. "You don't have to do this," Noah told her as rain soaked them both. "You're a guest, not a farmhand." Lara continued placing sandbags around the garden beds. "This is my home too. For now," she said, "I want to help." Something changed between them that day as they worked side by side to save what they could from the storm. Kalara saw Noah watching her with new eyes, perhaps surprised by her strength and determination. That evening, exhausted and muddy, they sat by the fireplace as rain continued to pound the roof. Noah handed Kalara a mug of hot chocolate, a beverage she had grown fond of. "Thank you for your help today," he said, his voice soft. "I couldn't have saved most of the garden without you." Kalara sipped her drink, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with the fire or the hot chocolate. "I enjoyed working with you," she admitted. "It's different from anything I do at home." "What would you be doing there?" Noah asked. "Attending formal functions, making diplomatic appearances, training for my eventual role in government." Kalara sighed. "All very important and terribly boring." Noah laughed. "I can imagine you bored. You throw yourself into everything here like you're discovering the world for the first time." "Because I am," Kalara said simply. "At home, everything is planned, measured, controlled. Here, things happen naturally, unpredictably. I find it exhilarating." Noah studied her over the rim of his mug. Do you miss your home, Kalara? Considered the question honestly, I miss certain comforts, certain foods, my personal library. But no, I don't miss the life I led there. They fell silent, watching the fire. Noah seemed lost in thought, his expression troubled. What's wrong? Kalara asked. Noah set down his mug. In a few days you'll be leaving, he said. Your month is almost up. Kalara felt something tighten in her chest. Yes, she said, my cousins will send a shuttle. Unless you want to leave earlier. Noah offered. I can contact your embassy if you've seen enough of farm life. Kalara looked at him sharply. Do you want me to leave early? No, Noah said quickly, then more quietly. No, I don't. Relief flooded through her. I don't want to leave early either. The next morning, Kalara received another message from the embassy confirming her pickup date just 3 days away. She stared at the communication device, feeling a strange hollowness inside. Kalara spent those days memorizing everything, the way sunlight filtered through the kitchen window, the smell of fresh earth in the garden, the sound of Barney barking at squirrels. She completed a small wood carving, a figurine of Barney, to leave with Noah as a thank you gift, and the evening before her scheduled departure, Noah suggested they drive to a nearby lake to watch the sunset. It was the first time Kalara had left the farm since her arrival. The lake was beautiful. Still water reflecting the fiery colors of the setting sun. Mountains rose in the distance, their peaks still holding the last snows of winter. It's beautiful, Kalara whispered. Noah nodded. This is my favorite place when I need to think. He hesitated, then added, I came here when I decided to leave the space program. Will you tell me what happened? Kalara asked gently. She had wondered, but never pushed. Noah was quiet for so long she thought he might not answer. I was lead engineer on a project to develop new propulsion systems, he finally said. Using technology we found on a derelict alien ship, not a Zurian, something older. Kalara listened silently. I discovered the military plan to weaponize it. Noah continued. Instead of using it for exploration, they wanted engines that could power warships. I reported it to my superiors, but they were part of it. He laughed bitterly. Turns out principles are expensive. I lost my career, my reputation, my marriage, everything. I'm sorry, Kalara said, meaning it. Noah shrugged. I got this place, it's enough. They watched the sun disappear behind the mountains. It's not enough, Kalara thought, but didn't say as darkness fell. They remained by the lake, stars appearing one by one above them. Your stars are different but beautiful, Kalara said, looking up. I can see why humans are so fascinated by space. Noah pointed out constellations, explaining the human stories behind them. Kalara listened, enchanted by the myths and legends. On Azuria, stars are navigation points, mathematical constants. She explained, we lost our stories centuries ago. How sad, Noah said. Kalara nodded. We lost many things in our pursuit of long life and technological advancement. Would you tell me a human story? She asked, one that's important to you. Noah thought for a moment, then told her about Orpheus and Eurydice, about a love so strong it challenged death itself but failed to doubt at the final moment. Why do humans tell stories of love that fails? Kalara asked. Not all of them fail, Noah said. But the ones that do teach us something about ourselves, about our strengths and weaknesses. Sometimes the greatest lessons come from stories of failure. Kalara considered this. Azurians tell stories of strategic success, of logical choices that benefit the many. We don't have stories about individual feelings. That explains a lot, Noah said with a small smile. What does it explain? Kalara asked. Why you're so fascinated by how humans live. We wear our hearts on our sleeves, as the saying goes. You've spent your life hiding. Your Kalara felt exposed, as if Noah could see through her carefully constructed exterior to the rebellion that had always lived inside her. When your shuttle comes tomorrow, what will you tell your cousins? Noah asked. Changing the subject, will you tell them their prank failed? That you enjoyed your time here? Kalara hadn't decided. I could lie, tell them I was miserable and humiliated. It would please them. And then Noah prompted, and then I would return to my life at court, a little wiser perhaps, but unchanged, or Kalara said quietly, feeling her heart's beating faster. Noah waited, his eyes reflecting starlighter. I could tell the truth. She continued, that I found something here, something worth more than my position or my title. What did you find? Noah asked, his voice barely audible. Freedom. Kalara said simply. Freedom to choose my own path to live authentically. I found that humans with your brief lives understand something. My people have forgotten that life should be lived, not merely existed through. Noah reached out hesitantly, his fingers brushing hers. You could stay. Kalara looked at their hands. Human. An alien so different yet connected, you would want that. I would, Noah admitted, looking surprised at his own words. I would very much want that. Kalara felt dizzy with possibility. Could she truly walk away from everything she had known her entire life, her position, her people, her world, yet what was waiting for her there? Centuries of political maneuvering, of prescribed behavior, of emptiness. Tell me why I should stay, she whispered, needing to hear him say it, because in 1 month you've brought more life to this place than it's seen in years. Noah said, because you see wonder in things I took for granted. Because he paused, searching for words. Because I think I could love you. Kalara finished for him, the human word feeling strange but right on her tongue. Noah nodded, looking relieved. Yes, exactly that. Kalara leaned forward slowly and pressed her forehead to his. The most intimate gesture in Azurian culture. I will stay. She said, her decision made. I will tell them tomorrow when they come. The drive back to the farm was quiet, but a comfortable silence filled with possibility. Kalara looked out at the dark landscape, thinking of what tomorrow would bring. Her cousins would be shocked, angry. There would be diplomatic consequences, perhaps, even threats, but for the first time in her long life, Kalara felt truly free. They gave the alien princess to a human as a prank. Now she has chosen to become a mother part. The Azurian shuttle arrived precisely on schedule, descending from the clouds with the same elegant precision as before. Kalara stood in the field waiting, Noah beside her, his face tense but determined. Barney sat at their feet, unusually quiet, as if sensing the importance of the moment. This time 3 Azurians emerged from the shuttle. Kalara's cousin Gilex, flanked by 2 royal guards, their formal attire, looking absurdly out of place on the simple farm. Cousin Gilex said with a mocking bow. I trust your rural adventure was educational. Kalara lifted her chin. We need to talk. Gilex looked from Kalara to Noah, his expression souring. So the human has not mistreated you? How disappointing for our wager. Noah stiffened beside her, and Kalara placed a calming hand on his arm. I am not returning with you, she announced clearly. Silence followed her words, broken only by the sound of wind through nearby trees. Don't be absurd, Gilex finally said. The joke has run its course. It's time to return to your duties. My duties, Kalara repeated. I have spent my life performing duties for the benefit of others. Now I choose my own path. Gilex laughed, a sharp, humorless sound. You would abandon your position, your birthright, for what? He gestured dismissively at Noah and the farm. A primitive existence with a primitive species. Before Kalara could respond, Noah stepped forward. I may be primitive by your standards, he said, his voice level, but I know enough to respect Kalara's choices. Something you clearly don't understand. One of the guards moved forward, hand going to the weapon at his belt. Gilex held up a hand, stopping him. The human speaks out of ignorance. Gilex said, to Kalara, you know the diplomatic consequences of such an action. The treaties between our worlds are fragile. This could be seen as desertion. Or worse, Kalara had considered this. I am not a military officer or government official. I am a private citizen of Azuria. I have the right to choose where I live. You are royal blood. Gilex countered, your actions reflect on the crown. Then perhaps the crown should have considered that before using me as the subject of a prank. Kalara replied sharply. Gilex flushed, his skin darkening to deep blue. This is more than a childish rebellion, cousin. What are you hoping to accomplish? The truth, Kalara said, is that I have found something here that I never found at home. Genuine connection. Purpose, joy. Call it what you will, but I will not give it up. Impossible, Gilex scoffed. You have known this human for 1 lunar cycle, and in that time she has shown more courage and honesty than you've shown in centuries. Noah said. The second guard stepped forward. Our orders are to return the princess to the embassy, he said formally. If necessary, we are authorized to use appropriate measures. Kalara felt Noah tense beside her. I will contact the royal house directly, she said. I will speak with my aunt. The queen. Jilex looked uncomfortable. She is aware of the situation, he admitted reluctantly. She has authorized negotiations. Negotiations? Kalara repeated. What exactly are you offering? 6 months? Jilex said. 1/2 of an Earth year. You may remain to continue your cultural studies provided you maintain regular contact with the embassy and return for any required diplomatic functions. Kalara considered this. It was more than she had expected, but still a compromise that would eventually end with her return. And after 6 months, she asked. Jilex spread his hands. That would depend on the diplomatic situation. The Queen's assessment and your own report, it was a delaying tactic. Not a solution, but it would give her time. I accept with conditions, Kalara said. I will remain. Here I will file reports, but I will not be summoned for trivial matters. Only true diplomatic necessity. Jilex conferred quietly with the guards before nodding. We can agree to those terms, but the embassy will require a communication system installed. Here to maintain contact. Kalara looked at Noah, who nodded his agreement. Fine, she said, but my location remains confidential. I don't want visitors, done, Jilex said, though he looked troubled. Cousin, I must ask, is this truly what you want? For the first time, Kalara saw genuine concern in her cousin's eyes. This is what I want, Jilex. I have never been more certain of anything. Jilex sighed. The Queen will want to speak with you directly. I cannot delay that. Understood, Kalara said. The guards returned to the shuttle and retrieved a small communication device more advanced than the one Kalara had brought with her. They spent time setting it up inside the farmhouse while Jilex and Kalara finalized the details of their agreement. You're making a mistake, Jilex said quietly when they were alone. You cannot build a life here, these humans. They live such short spans, their bodies are fragile. Have you considered what that means? Have Kalara said. I would rather have a brief time of meaning than centuries of emptiness. Jilex shook his head. You always were the romantic one of the family. He looked toward Noah, who was watching the guards work. What will you do when he ages, when he dies, while you remain unchanged? Kalara had no answer for that. The reality of human mortality was something she had not yet fully confronted. Think on it, Jilex advised before boarding the shuttle. As the shuttle rose into the sky, Kalara felt Noah's arm slip around her waist. 6 months. He said it's a start. Kalara nodded, but Jilex's words echoed in her mind. Human lifespans were so brief compared to Azurians. Could she bear to watch Noah age and die while she remained young? That evening, as they sat on the porch, Kalara shared her concerns. I will age, Noah said simply. Someday. I will die. That's the human condition. I can't change that. Kalara looked at the stars visible now in the darkening sky. I could return to Azuria, seek genetic modification. There are treatments that can extend human life, not to our length, but significantly. Noah was quiet for a long time, thinking when he finally spoke. His voice was thoughtful. I'm not afraid of dying, Kalara. Only of not living fully while I'm here extending my life artificially. What's the point if I'm not living it with purpose? Kalara thought about the elders on Azuria who had lived for centuries but whose eyes seemed empty, whose existence had become routine without joy or discovery. What is your purpose now? She asked. Noah looked at her, his expression open, vulnerable. To help you find your place here, to see what we can build together. That night, Kalara accessed the medical database through her new communication device, searching for information about Azurian human compatibility. The results were surprising. While reproduction between the species had been theoretically discussed, it had never been attempted. The genetic differences were significant but not insurmountable with proper medical intervention. A child might be possible. A child, Kalara considered the idea with wonder. Azurians rarely had children. Their long lifespans made reproduction less urgent, less necessary, but humans valued children as their legacy. Their continuation, a child that would carry both species within its DNA. A true bridge between worlds. The next morning, Kalara told Noah what she'd discovered. You want a baby? He asked, clearly surprised. Kalara tried to explain her thinking. A child would be a new beginning. Something neither fully Azurian nor fully human, but something unique. A reason for both worlds to maintain peace, to work together. Noah looked uncertain. That's a big reason to have a child, Kalara took his hands, feeling the roughness of his palms against her smoother skin. I want this not just for political reasons, but for us, for the Chance to create something new, something beautiful from our differences. You would be a mother. Noah said the word strange between them. Kalara nodded. I would choose that role above all others I have held. Noah was quiet, thinking. Then he smiled slowly. I never thought about having kids after everything that happened. I gave up on that idea, but with you, he shook his head in wonder. It's crazy. But I want that too. The decision made. Kalara contacted the embassy medical team to begin the process. Her status as royal blood meant the request received immediate attention, despite its unprecedented nature. The next weeks brought a flurry of medical consultations, genetic testing, and heated debates among the Azurian scientific community. Some called it dangerous, others revolutionary. Kalara ignored the political noise, focusing instead on preparations at the farm. Noah built a nursery in the spare room, painting walls and crafting a crib with his own hands. When the Azurian doctors finally confirmed that the procedure would be possible, Kalara felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. Are you certain? Noah asked her the night before the procedure was scheduled. There will be no going back from this. Kalara looked around the small farmhouse that had become her home at Barney, sleeping by the fireplace at the wood carvings they had made together, displayed on shelves, at Noah, whose love had given her the courage to choose her own path. I have never been more certain, she said. What began as a cruel joke has become the greatest gift I could receive. Noah kissed her gently. I'm scared, he admitted. I don't know how to be a father. I don't know how to be a mother. Kalara said, we will learn together, like everything else. Noah agreed. They gave the alien princess to a human as a prank. Now she has chosen to become a mother. Part 5. The procedure was successful more quickly than either of them had expected. Within weeks, Kalara knew she was carrying a child, the first human Azurian hybrid in recorded history. Her body adapted easily to the pregnancy. Though the Azurian doctors monitored her closely, the news spread quickly through diplomatic channels. The Queen herself contacted Kalara, expressing both concern and curiosity about her niece's unprecedented decision. You have always chosen your own path, the Queen said, her image flickering on the communication screen. But this is beyond rebellion, Kalara. This changes everything. I know, Kalara replied, resting her hand on her still flat abdomen. The Queen studied her for a long moment. There is love, there isn't there, in your eyes when you speak of the human. Kalara nodded. We do not speak of such things at court, but yes, I love him. Remarkable, the Queen said softly. When I was young, before the genetic extensions were perfected, we still felt such things, I remember. She trailed off, looking distant. I will support your decision officially. Your child will be recognized as royal blood. Kalara had not expected this. Thank you, Aunt. But the Queen continued. You must understand the consequences. Your child will be studied, analyzed. Some will see it as a diplomatic opportunity, others as a threat. You and your human must be prepared. Kalara straightened her shoulders. We will. Kalara's pregnancy progressed. The farm received more visitors than it had in all the years Noah had lived there. Diplomatic representatives came bearing gifts. Medical staff arrived for regular checkups. Security details surveyed the property, installing discreet protections. Noah took it all with remarkable patience, though Kalara noticed him retreating to his workshop more often when the visitors became too numerous. I'm sorry, she told him one evening after a particularly long visit from embassy officials. I never meant to disrupt your peace. Noah smiled, taking her hand. You are worth the disruption. He placed his other hand on her growing belly. And this little one is worth everything. The baby grew healthy and strong. A perfect blend of both species, with Kalara's iridescent skin, but Noah's blue eyes, Azurian healing abilities. But a human heart, physically more human than Azurian, but with a life expectancy somewhere between the two species, according to the doctors. In her 7th month, Kalara received an unexpected visitor. Her cousin Gilex arrived alone, without guards or diplomatic escort. Kalara greeted him cautiously. Their last meeting had not ended well. I come as family, not as a representative, Gilex said. I wanted to see for myself. Kalara led him into the farmhouse where Noah was preparing dinner. The two men acknowledged each other with cautious nods. Gilex seemed uncomfortable in the simple surroundings, but his eyes widened when he saw Kalara's pregnant form. So, it is true, he said. You really are having a child? Kalara nodded. Would you like to feel the baby kick? Gillex hesitated, then placed a hand gently on her belly, his expression changing from skepticism to wonder when he felt the strong movement within. Remarkable, he whispered, then looked up at Noah. You must be very proud. Noah nodded. She is, he said simply. Gillex stayed for dinner. The conversation stilted at first, but gradually warming as Kalara shared stories of farm life and the preparations for the baby. I owe you an apology, Gillex said finally, both of you. What began as a childless prank has become something significant, something that may change relations between our worlds forever. Kalara reached for Noah's hand. I should thank you, Gillex. Without your prank, I would never have found this. Life. Gillex shook his head, still coming to terms with it all. The royal court is in chaos, some calling for your return, others celebrating this new diplomatic connection. The queen has been surprisingly supportive. She remembers what it was to love, Kalara said. Before Gillex left, he gave them a small package, a gift from the royal house for the child. A blanket woven with threads that captured and held light. It would glow softly in darkness, providing comfort. The gesture moved Kalara deeply. Perhaps there was hope for understanding between her old world and her new one. As Kalara's due date approached, the farm settled into an uneasy quiet. Diplomatic visitors were restricted. Medical staff remained on standby. Nearby, Noah rarely left Kalara's side, his concern and love evident in every gesture. Their daughter was born on a clear spring morning, her cries strong and healthy, her tiny body glowing faintly in the dim light of dawn. They named her Lyra after a constellation visible from both Earth and Azuriash. Was perfect tiny fingers with slight webbing between them. Noah's eyes, but with the violet hue of Kalara's people skin, that shifted colors with her emotions, already showing her unique nature. Birth of Lyra made interstellar headlines. The first human Azurian child. Representatives from both governments issued statements. Some celebratory, others cautious. Security around the farm was increased. Noah took it all in stride, his focus entirely on Kalara and their daughter. He built a rocking chair for late-night feedings, carved toys for tiny hands, fashioned a mobile of wooden stars and planets to hang above the crib. This changes everything, the Azurian ambassador said during an official visit. The child represents possibilities we had not considered: genetic compatibility, cultural exchange. She is living proof that our species can find common ground. Kalara, holding her sleeping daughter, looked up at the ambassador. She is not a political symbol, she said firmly. She is our child, of course, the ambassador conceded, but you must understand the significance. Noah stepped forward. We understand the significance, he said, but we also understand she's a baby who needs protection, love, and the freedom to determine her own path when she's old enough. The ambassador looked as if he might argue, but something in Noah's expression stopped him. 3 months after Lyra's birth, the queen herself made the journey to Earth, the first monarch to do so. In generations, her arrival caused a flurry of diplomatic activity, security measures, and media attention. Kalara waited nervously with Lyra in her arms, Noah standing protectively beside them as the royal shuttle landed in the field where once Kalara's own shuttle had arrived. The queen emerged alone, her regal bearing unmistakable. Despite her simple attire, she approached slowly, her eyes fixed on the child. She has your father's eyes, the queen said softly to Kalara. The same determination. Kalara felt tears form. She had not expected this personal connection. May I present my daughter Lyra and my partner Noah? The queen acknowledged Noah with a respectful nod, then held out her arms. May I? Kalara carefully transferred Lyra to the queen's arms. The baby looked up with curious eyes, reaching to touch the queen's face with tiny fingers. She will bridge worlds, the queen said, her voice thick with emotion. Not through politics or treaties, but through love, the most powerful force in any galaxy. That night, after all visitors had gone and Lyra slept peacefully in her crib, Kalara and Noah sat on the porch looking at the stars. When my cousins sent me here as a prank, Kalara said they never imagined this outcome. Noah smiled. It was a pretty elaborate prank. Kalara leaned against him. I believe humans have a saying about how plans sometimes go awry. The best laid plans of mice and men. Noah quoted. Kalara nodded. I'm grateful their plan failed so spectacularly. Their daughter would grow up between worlds, not fully belonging to either, but creating her own path just as Kalara had done. The prank that was meant to humiliate had instead created something beautiful, something revolutionary, something that might someday change both species for the better. In the nursery, Lyra slept peacefully under her blanket of light, her tiny form glowing softly in the darkness, a beacon of possibility, a bridge between stars. Kalara thought of all the choices that had led to this moment: her refusal of an arranged marriage, her cousin's cruel prank, her decision to stay, Noah's willingness to open his heart, each one a step on an unexpected path. They had given the alien princess to a human as a prank. Now she had become a mother. Now she had found home. Sometimes, Kalara thought, looking up at the stars visible through Earth's atmosphere, the greatest journeys begin with the smallest steps. Or in my case, she smiled at Noah with the cruelest jokes. Noah laughed, pulling her close. Remind me to thank your cousin someday. Someday, Kalara agreed. But not too soon. She was in no hurry to share this happiness just yet. It belonged to them, to their small family, to the future they were building together one day at a time.